There are a bunch of strange stuff that people eat. Cockroach, tarantula, rat, kangaroo. The most disgusting food I've eaten is French fries because it makes me fat. It's super weird. I can't imagine people eating it, but some people want more than that. They eat human meat. What the f***? These stories are eerie, chilling, and honestly, one of them might just stick with you long after you hear it. Okay, I do hope not. The case of Armin Meiwes, living in a quiet German town called Rotenburg in 2001. He seems ordinary. He's the kind of guy that you would never think twice about until his hidden craving came to light. Armin wasn't secretive about his desire. He openly posted online, searching for someone who is willing to be killed and eaten. At first, it seems impossible that anyone would respond. Then, Bernd Brandes replied. This wasn't some misunderstanding. Bernd volunteered for this. They then began planning in detail. Bernd also helped Armin plan what to do with his body afterwards. On March 9, 2001, Bernd arrived at Armin's home. The house looked completely normal, nested in a quiet neighborhood. But inside though, it was anything but ordinary. The table wasn't set for a meal. It was prepped for something disturbing. Tools and camera were carefully laid out as they prepared to document everything. The first course was a part of Brandes himself, eaten together. Well, I'm sorry, I can't show you the part that they have eaten, but I can assure you that you don't want to find out. Okay, it's a male body part. Armin then gave Brandes a bath as he is bleeding heavily in the bathtub. Then the next morning, the birds are chirping as usual. Clouds are filled in the sky. Armin then found out that Brandes is still alive. And then he stabbed him in the neck. He then hung his body in a meat hook. Over the course of several months, Armin ate half of Brandes, about 44 pounds of him. Armin was initially arrested in 2002 and later sentenced to life imprisonment. Armin believed that each piece he ate of Brandes bring him closer to him. Brandes' English-speaking skill has even passed on to him and believed that Brandes completed him and gave him a soulmate. Let me tell about Issei Sagawa. In 1981, he was a Japanese student living in Paris. He invited his classmate Renee Harderwell to his apartment saying that he needed help with poetry. She thought it was just a normal study session, but Sagawa had been obsessing over her for weeks, and what happened next was beyond horrifying. While she was reading, Sagawa grabbed a rifle and shot her in the back of the neck, killing her instantly. After that, he did something unthinkable. He dismembered her body and ate part of her flesh. He believed that by eating her, he could absorb her beauty and strength. It wasn't just a crime, it was a twisted fantasy. Sagawa stayed in the apartment with her body for 2 days, taking photos and storing part of her in the fridge. But the smell became unbearable, so he packed what was left in the suitcase. Here's the thing, blood started leaking out of the suitcase. He then moving his way to the Bois de Boulogne Park. It was pretty quiet that day. Some chatter could be heard from a distance. Then some people nearby has noticed about the bloody suitcase. They then called the police.
Hello?
And when they opened the bags, it was game over for Sagawa. He confessed immediately, but instead of going to prison, he was sent back to Japan. Japan let him walk free because of some legal technicality. And now Sagawa lives openly in Japan and even profit from his crime by writing books and giving interviews. It's insane, and it's one of those cases that makes you wonder how justice can feel so badly. Okay, have you heard of Katherine Knight? Her story is one of the most terrifying crimes in Australia history. She lived in a small town called Aberdeen and worked in a slaughterhouse, where she became an expert at butchering and skinning animals, a skill she later used in the most horrifying way imaginable. Katherine had a reputation for being violent, especially in her relationship. Her last partner, John Price, tried to end things, but she wouldn't let go. On the night of the attack, they had a huge argument, and while John was asleep, Katherine grabbed a knife. But when he woke up and saw what was happening, he tried to escape, She chased and chased him through the house as he desperately tries to get away, but she overpowered him. For a brief moment, there was silence, just a sound of ragged breathing. John, bloody and dazed, tries to scramble to his feet, but Katherine was already on top of him, her grip tightening around the knife. In a brutal frenzy, she stabbed him 37 times, leaving blood trail throughout the house as evidence of his struggles. After killing him, she skinned his entire body with shocking precision and hung his skin from a meat hook in the living room. Then she decapitated him, placed his head in a pot of boiling water on the stove, and cooked part of his body. She even prepared a meal with vegetables, arranging neatly on plates and labeling them with name cards for John's children. When the police arrived, they found one of the most gruesome crime scenes imaginable. Officer was so disturbed that some needed therapy afterward. And Katherine, she was completely calm, as if nothing had happened. This case wasn't just shocking, it became a defining example of how far human depravity can go. Katherine Knight remains in prison, serving a life sentence with no chance of parole. Armin, Issei, and Katherine. Yeah, they are the names tied to some of the most disturbing stories you have probably ever heard. And look, let's not sugarcoat it. What they did was horrifying. It's the kind of stuff that makes your stomach turns. Their action destroy life, and there's no excuse for any of it. But here's the thing, people don't just wake up one day and become monsters. These aren't just any random villains. They were shaped by years of loneliness, obsession, and pains that no one noticed or cared to stop. And honestly, that's a part that sticks with me. What if somebody had stepped in earlier? Could any of this have been avoided? Well, don't get me wrong. This isn't about feeling bad for them or excusing for what they did. Absolutely not. It's about looking at the bigger picture. If we want to stop tragedies like this from happening again, we have to start paying attention. When somebody clearly struggling or spiraling, we can't just ignore it and hope it will go away. At the end of the day, it's not about sympathizing with people like Armin, Issei, or Katherine. It's about learning from what had happened and making sure we are not letting these kind of things slip through the cracks again. Because if we look out for each other, then maybe we can stop the next tragedy before it even begins.